Hey everybody, Pete Werner here with today's edition of Best and Worst of Walt Disney World. And in this episode, we are going to talk about our 5 most overrated things at Disney's Magic Kingdom. And I'm joined by my associate producer, Mr. Oliver Green.
Hello.
Back in the nook on the switch, making sure I look beautiful.
As always,
he's poorly lit. You understand that's how we do it here. They all have to be poorly lit so I look better. I want to start. Now, this is in no particular order. We decided, and I do not know what's on Oliver's list, and he does not know what is on mine. And we do that intentionally so we can just kind of be surprised and whatever while we're doing this. But this list is not in any particular order. But these are things that I feel are overrated. May not necessarily be bad. It just may be that they've become so popular and so much an absolute necessity for so many people that their vacations are ruined if they don't get it. And I think that they've just become overrated. So this is not a worst list. This is an overrated list. Just want to state that. So I'm going to lead with what is probably my most controversial on this list, and that's Space Mountain. Oh. Yeah, that's the reaction I thought I would get. And here's why. If you have done Space Mountain out in Disneyland, you realize just how overrated our Space Mountain is. It really hasn't changed at all since it was opened in 1842. It's remarkably uncomfortable, even with the new cars. It's really, in my opinion, it's a boardwalk roller coaster that's just done with a really good theme, and it's in the dark. It's not a particularly good roller coaster as roller coasters go. For that, you could do Rock and Roller Coaster over at Hollywood Studios, which is also in the dark, but it's a real roller coaster. You could do Expedition Everest at Animal Kingdom. Those are what I consider to be real roller coasters. Disneyland did their Hyperspace Mountain overlay where they put all these Star Wars effects into it and really just kind of changed up the entire experience, made it an entirely different ride. So after experiencing that, I really feel like our Space Mountain is overrated.
See, I love Space Mountain. It does hold a very special place in my heart. It's just one of those attractions.
I know. That's why I said I'm going to lead with my most. It's not my only controversial one, but it's my most controversial one.
I don't disagree with you. The attraction itself was not built for capacity at all because they weren't necessarily taking that into account when it was built in 71. I think it opened with the park.
No, it was later than that. I did not open with the park.
Okay.
I want to say it was 74, 75 when it opened. I think maybe even 76.
Yeah,
but it was later on that it didn't open with the park.
No, I love it to bits. But when you do compare it to what they're doing over at Disneyland, which I've not rode yet, I will be very soon. But I've not rode the Space Mountain over at Disneyland just yet. But
I think they've stopped the Hyperspace Mountain overlay. I don't think they're doing it anymore.
But just the fact that they can do it. And they've just never, ever done it here. So I can see where you're going with it. But I do love Space Mountain. So, yeah.
There are better iterations of Space Mountain. Disneyland Paris has a much better iteration of Space Mountain. So, in my opinion, that's one of my 5 overrated things at the Magic Kingdom. What about you, Oliver?
Okay, so again, no order whatsoever. But at the top of my list here, I have got the Castle Show, the new Castle Show, the Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair. It's just, I preferred the old show before the one that this replaced.
Yeah, this has not gotten good reviews.
No,
at all.
And you can see why. It takes cheese to the next level. It feels like what they did was they didn't design a show. They didn't write a show. It's like they cherry-picked all the things, all of the property, the intellectual properties
we must have all of these elements in the show, whether it makes sense together or not.
Exactly. It's like, oh, well, Frozen's doing well. We'll take a bit of Frozen, and here's that. And it just doesn't flow at all when you're watching it. Some of the music's catchy, I'll give it that. But no, it just doesn't flow. And they did a very good job as well with changing it up at the last minute when it did debut because of what happened with the incident at the Grand Floridian. They did a good job with that because they had to remove one of the characters. And very well done that they can do that at the last minute. But the show as a whole, it just doesn't flow. It doesn't work. It's nice that they're trying to mix it up as well for the different seasons. They change it, so they've just come out with the autumn ending, which I've seen, and it's laborious. It really is. It's
laborious.
It's. I've got word of the day: toilet paper at home. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's just all around terrible. When you look at what entertainment they can do at Walt Disney World, this just doesn't meet expectations.
Yeah, especially right now when we're recording this, it's in the fall season of 2016, and Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is going on, and you've got the Hocus Pocus stage show, which is like incredible, and people are crazy about it, and for good reason. Mm-hmm. Definitely not going to make my overrated list, Hocus Pocus stage show, but I get what you're saying about this.
Yeah.
Next on my list is an attraction I think that needs a complete reimagination.
I wonder if it's the same as mine, because I've got an attraction next as well. This is why I love doing these.
Mickey's PhilharMagic.
Oh, yeah.
It's been done. It was cool when it launched 10 plus years ago. Right now, the last time I was in there, what was it? During one of the after hours events. Mm-hmm. And the 3D is like really worn, and it doesn't look good. And
yeah, this is it for me. So it doesn't just end at Walt Disney World. This goes for all theme parks, because there was a huge time when having a 3D show in any major theme park was a big thing. It was, it had to be done. But when you can go to your local theatre, your local cinema, and see better 3D than they have there, that's an issue. The reason you go to a theme park is to escape the outside world and see something. You're paying that premium price to ride attractions and see something you can't get elsewhere. You can get better 3D in other places, and it's sad to see that. So I can see why.
I think it's time for them to do a new film. I think it's time, keep it Mickey's PhilharMagic, write a new story, do new animation, up the level of 3D that's there. But it really is just a big yawn right now.
I agree, and the concept is brilliant. The music is such a great way of showcasing all the music, because everyone loves Disney film scores, and it's whenever I do go on that attraction, I do really enjoy the music side of things. Mm-hmm. But what lets it down is the 3D. The 3D is absolutely terrible.
Right. All right, what's next on your list?
Yeah, it's me. Next on my list it's also an attraction, and it's just because it's just so poor. Stitch's Great Escape. It's previously, years and years ago.
Well, I think to be overrated, it has to be rated.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I didn't make mine. That is universally panned as a terrible attraction. And that it has lasted this long blows my mind.
I know. It's as a child, I can remember, and this is going back in the memory bank a long way, but I can remember. 4 years ago. Oh, thanks, Pete. No, I can remember when was it Alien Encounter? Is that what it was? And it was terrifying, but at least that was better. I would enjoy that more as a child, being scared, than this poor excuse for an attraction. Last time I went on it, half of the effects, the animatronics weren't even working correctly, which is really sad to see, because that's not the standard you expect from Disney. So I think even they've given up on it, to be completely honest.
Well, I tried to stick with things that were popular that I thought were overrated.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anybody finds Stitches, not to diminish your list, but
no, you're right.
I agree with you. It's a crappy attraction.
On reflection, that probably should have been for another list, to be completely honest. But no, it's terrible.
Right. We'll let you slide. I've got you covered here in
Thank you.
In some of this stuff. Next is one of my other controversial ones, and this will upset a lot of people. But Be Our Guest restaurant. Now, let me say, I've eaten there, and I think the food is good. Sometimes the food has been very good. But it has become the place. It has become that place where if people don't get a reservation for it, if people don't get in there, their entire vacation is ruined. We see it all the time on the boards. We see it in emails, that this has become that place. And God almighty, look, it's good. It's a good restaurant. It's nice to have a table service of that caliber in the Magic Kingdom. It is not worth the kind of craziness people go through to get a reservation there. It just isn't. There are other places to eat that are very good. So it's not that I think Be Our Guest is a bad restaurant. I don't. I think Be Our Guest is terribly overrated by people right now. I don't think this is Disney's fault. I think these are the fans. that insisting we must eat there.
No, I can see that.
Getting to a point, I mean, there are people who literally get apoplectic if they are not able to get a reservation at this place. And I look at that and go, what is wrong with you? You know, it's a restaurant, for God's sakes. Yes, it's got a great theme and it's beautifully done. No question about it. And the food ranges from good to very good. But it is not worth the craziness that people have attached to it. So that is why Be Our Guest, in my opinion, makes my list.
Okay, I'm going to move on because I don't necessarily... I can see what you're saying, but
He doesn't want... He's afraid to disagree with me. He's not gotten to that point yet. Well, he'll, like...
Yeah.
You know, it's cute. It's cute to watch. I enjoy this part. He's squirming over there because he does not agree with me on this.
I don't completely agree. I am a huge fan of Be Our Guest restaurant. It's one of my...
But you really think it's a make or break restaurant for a vacation, that if you don't eat there, your vacation's ruined?
No, I wouldn't say it's ruined. There's a lot of other good options, but I can see why people do fight for the reservations there. It's very, very popular. It's a versatile restaurant. Inside is breathtaking. It really does transport you away. The reason people go to theme parks is to get away from the outside world. This does that inside a theme park. This transports you into the movie, you know? I can really, really see why people do fight for those reservations. But at the same time, I can see what you're saying. You shouldn't be utterly distraught if you don't get a reservation at B. I guess there are a lot of other very good dining options, but I don't know.
All right, let's hear yours.
Okay, so moving on to next on my list, I have got Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, which may upset some people because this has a following.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is I've played this. I've had a chance to go out there. Rhino and I played this actually a few months ago, and it just didn't hit very well with either of us. My feeling on... so actually, for those of you that don't know, Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom is a game you can play around Magic Kingdom. You get these playing cards that you walk around to different points that you get on a map, and you hold the playing card up to a screen that has a camera that reads the card, and there's a storyline that goes along, and you play along with it. So it's designed for children, I believe, to kind of keep them entertained throughout the day. Here's my biggest problem with that, though. It's incredibly time-consuming. It's huge. That's what
I always felt. Yeah, it was very time consuming.
And it's why you're in Magic Kingdom. Any age can be entertained by the constant stuff around you that's stimulating you. You shouldn't have to, go and get your playing cards and go up to a window and find a way of entertaining the kids with this. This would be a lot better placed in somewhere like Epcot. Obviously, they have stuff similar to this in Epcot to entertain the kids, but I just feel like it's misplaced. It's in the wrong park, and I feel like it really doesn't know its audience, because I've had this discussion with a few people, and a lot of people will say, oh, well, it's not for kids. It's for people that go that often that they're not going for the attractions. It's for the annual pass holders. It's really not. I'm an annual pass holder. I go regularly. I play this, and it just didn't sit very well with me at all. It just... I hate to say this because I know it has a following, so I may be wrong, but for me, I found it incredibly boring. It's so long-winded.
I've never really done it, so I really can't say.
It's just a time vacuum. It's just a time vacuum. It's there to take up your day, and when you're in Magic Kingdom, you should be experiencing a lot of other things, in my belief. So, yeah, Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. It just doesn't sit well.
Okay. Next on my list will be another somewhat controversial one. Just because it's another one of these places where if we don't get the reservation, our entire life is ruined and we might as well just give up and die. Cinderella's Royal Table. The meal in the castle. And, in this case, I can say that based on my experiences over the years, the food isn't that great. The character interaction, depending on who you get and when, can be really disappointing. We see a lot of reports about that people were expecting more. The cost of it is astronomical. And again, people just fall into apoplectic despair if they don't get their Cinderella's Royal Table. Now, Be Our Guest took some of the pressure off.
Yeah.
But there's still that contingent of people out there that feel that if they don't get their reservation at Cinderella's Royal Table, that their vacations are ruined and their children will grow up to be homeless drug addicts. So
I can see the pull. I can see why people want to eat there. You're getting to dine in the castle. I've never dined there myself, so it's hard for me to say. I just know it's character dining and it's inside Cinderella.
It's
castle,
uncomfortable.
So.
If you're if you're a grown man there with another grown man, as I have done, it's uncomfortable. You feel like maybe there's something wrong with you. But now that will get emails. Just having fun here, guys. I'm not casting judgment. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't see I get the appeal. I don't see why it needs to be so important.
Yeah.
Even your kids want to have eat in the castle. Okay, well, if you can't, there's so much else to do, and there's so much other wonderful, especially in the Magic Kingdom, that kind of move on.
Yeah. Okay, so next on my list, I have got the. It's another attraction technically, but it's the Swiss Family Tree House. It's so for those of you
I
that
won't
don't
climb
know,
those stairs.
Exactly. Neither will I. The Swiss Family Tree House is essentially Stairs the attraction. You get the. It's true. You get the.
Stairs the attraction. That's good.
You get the privilege of climbing hundreds of steps with no point whatsoever, other than looking at these treehouse sets that you'd see from the film. I'm assuming that's what it's for. I've been told that you can get a good view of the fireworks from up there, but that's about the only thing it's good for. This thing never has a wait, even on the busiest days, and for good reason. I can get a good view
of the fireworks from Main Street, and I don't have to climb 900 stairs to do it.
It's just, I think it's one of the most pointless attractions in the world. I really do. I've done it a couple of times, and it's so boring. Yeah. So there's a scene in the treehouse where it shows you the bedroom. And I've heard that sometimes either members of the public or occasionally a jaded cast member will unroll I'm sure I'm fine saying this. They will unroll a condom and they will put it on the bedpost just to add a bit of attraction.
No, really?
Oh yeah, they will do that. So I think that's the only thing that can really spruce up this attraction for me, to be honest, because nothing would make my day more than if I climbed all those stairs and I seen that scene. So
great.
Yeah.
That's funny. I hadn't heard that. All right, my next and final overrated thing at the Magic Kingdom. This applies to Walt Disney World in general and Disneyland and any other place you can find this, is Starbucks. Anybody who's watched our shows or Dis Unplugged podcasts knows of my feeling about Starbucks. It's crappy, overpriced coffee. And every time I pass by this place, every single time I pass by this place, the lines and the crowd inside of that location are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you know what? Starbucks has the concession, that particular concession, but the official coffee of Walt Disney World is Joffrey's, which I think is far better. So go to any other coffee location and get Joffrey's coffee. It's cheaper, it's better, and you don't have to wait in those ridiculous lines. Starbucks, absolutely ridiculously overrated.
No,
across the board, not just at Disney World. Starbucks is overrated in general, in my opinion.
I agree that you can get better coffee elsewhere. I drink a lot of iced coffee. You can get much better iced coffee on property, even in the parks, than they serve at Starbucks. And it does frustrate me how expensive Starbucks is. I don't hate Starbucks, though. I will go to a Starbucks outside of the parks. The thing that frustrates me the most is the way people treat it. They all seem to flock to it because they need to get this Starbucks kick. It's kind of like when the supermarkets close down for Thanksgiving and everyone goes the day before, like it's like they're never going to open again. Everyone has to go. I don't understand why. It's just Starbucks. There's no reason to have these lines coming out the door every single, well, it's not just the morning, it's at all times of the day. There's just people constantly in Starbucks. I don't get it.
There have been times where I've needed a cup of coffee, and that was the best option. And then it's their blonde roast. Their blonde roast is acceptable. But outside of that, the rest of it, I can't be bothered. And I know it's popular, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong for liking it. I'm just saying, for me, I think it's ridiculously overrated. I don't think it has any place. They replaced the Main Street Bakery, an iconic location in the Magic Kingdom, with Starbucks. And I thought that was just horrible. And so I haven't quite gotten over my bitterness from that yet. So what's last on your list?
Okay, last on my list is something I absolutely hate, and I can't believe people do this. It's Tom Sawyer Island. I cannot stand Tom Sawyer Island. I don't understand the concept. I don't understand why people want to do it. For me, it's the Guantanamo Bay of Magic Kingdom. It's terrible.
Oh, wow.
It's this
wow.
It's this island you have to stand in line to get on a raft for, which, by the way, the rafts are terrible. These rafts are actually driven. They have motors on the back, so they're constantly pumping out like fumes that you're breathing in on the way there, so it's probably carcinogenic. By the time you dock on the island itself and get off, you'd think that there's some magical attraction waiting for you, the amount of effort you've had to go through. It feels like when you travel and you have to go through immigration just to get to this thing. You get off the island and it's nothing but rocks and trees and nothing. I don't understand why people do it.
I've been doing this a long time, and I've not yet heard, until now, a Disney attraction where the words carcinogenic and Guantanamo Bay were used in the same sentence to describe it. Okay. I mean, look, I don't get it either. I mean, I know it's a, kind of place to get away, and kids can run around and do whatever they do in this thing. And I think it was better when the restaurant was open, the counter service, Aunt Polly's was open.
Yeah, then, see, you've got a point to go then. There's a restaurant over there. Whenever I visited, it's always been since the restaurant was closed. So for me, it's just this island. I suppose it's closer to Alcatraz than Guantanamo Bay, to be honest. So I'd say it's the Alcatraz of Magic Kingdom. I just don't get it. It's a pain to get to. It's a pain to get from. It's just, don't like it.
So recapping my top 5, or my 5 overrated things at Magic Kingdom: Space Mountain, Mickey's PhilharMagic, Be Our Guest Restaurant, Cinderella's Royal Table Restaurant, and our dining experience, and Starbucks. And Oliver, your 5 were?
My 5 were the Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair, the Cashwell Show, Stitch's Great Escape, Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, the Swiss Family Treehouse attraction, and Tom Sawyer Island, the sweatbox of Disney. It's just terrible.
Disney's Alcatraz. Okay. So there you have it. Those are ours. Please share yours in the comments and tell us what you think. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next time with our next episode of the Best and Worst of Walt Disney World. Thanks for being with us.